In this week's Parsha, Moshe gathers everybody together and says to them, Atem Nitzavim hayom kulchem. You are all standing before Hashem today. The heads of the tribes, the elders, those who enforce the law, all of the men, the children, the women, the converts, everybody was standing together. Now, naturally, Moshe had been teaching the Jewish people now for a number of weeks. This was his last address to them. But on this particular day, he gathered everybody together. And why was it necessary to have everybody? And Rashi shares with us three interpretations. The first interpretation is that he was bringing them into a covenant with Hashem, the covenant of Arvot Moav, the plains of Moab, the covenant that they would take responsibility one for the other. Everybody had to be present. The second interpretation is that Moshe was handing them over to his successor, to Yoshua, to his student, Joshua. And we find in Jewish history that when leaders would hand over the nation to their successors, to the next leader, they would always do it in a public gathering. And so we find, says Rashi, with Joshua. And so we find with Samuel, when Samuel handed the Jewish people over from his leadership to the leadership of King Saul. And the third interpretation, Rashi says, is as follows. And it has to be understood in the context of the fact that we had just finished Parshat Ki Tavo. And in Parshat Ki Tavo is a long litany, a list of terrible curses, 98 curses that, God forbid, will come upon the Jewish people if they are not living up to the standards that Hashem expects of them, if they go against his covenant. And naturally, the Jewish people were in a terrible state. They went green, they went pale. They heard all of these curses. How can anybody survive? How is it possible? And Moshe said, no. Atem Nitzavim hayom kulchem. You're still standing here today. You know, we've gone through so much. We went through Egypt and we came out of Egypt and Amalek attacked us. And then there was the sin of the golden calf and the sin of the spies and all of these terrible things that happened. But you know what? Atem Nitzavim hayom kulchem. You're still standing here today. As Sir Elton John sang in that famous song, I'm still standing. The Jewish people are still standing today. That was Moshe addressing them all of those years ago. But he could just as well have been addressing them today. Look at what we've been through. Holocausts, pogroms, inquisitions, you name it. And we're still standing here today. And yes, we've gone through all of those times, but you know what those difficulties, what those curses did to us? They made us strong. They made us be able to withstand all of the challenges of history. This is the message that we should take from Moshe gathering us together. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem. You are all still standing here today. Hashem is protecting you, and you will carry on to be an immortal and an eternal nation. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.